Again, really good.
But it's actually a butter alternative made by the company Savor in this suburban Chicago factory.
Can we look inside?
We can.
Here, they're turning carbon dioxide, methane, and water into fats and oils.
The butter currently sitting on your kitchen counter is no longer a simple product of nature. It has been transformed into a calculated tool of industrial manipulation that prioritizes corporate margins over human biological safety. When you notice your butter refuses to soften at room temperature, you are witnessing the physical signature of a massive chemical deception. Massive agricultural conglomerates are now funneling thousands of tons of palmitic acid derived from palm oil into the daily feed of dairy cattle. This intervention forces the cows to produce milk with a corrupted molecular structure that is chemically engineered to resist melting. You are unknowingly ingesting what experts describe as mummy fat, a substance that remains solid even as it approaches 35 degrees Celsius. This distorted fat creates an immediate metabolic crisis because your cardiovascular system was never evolved to process such an unnatural lipid profile. While the industry portrays a peaceful image of green pastures, your internal organs are struggling to dissolve a material that behaves more like industrial wax than food. The silence from these corporations regarding this modification is a direct betrayal of the trust you place in the food supply every single morning. The familiar labels in your refrigerator are hiding a reality that is far more dangerous than simple cost-cutting measures. We have uncovered a specific and horrifying secret regarding the final brand on our list that will fundamentally change your perception of the grocery industry. A revelation regarding the true cost of this Buttergate scandal to your cellular health is waiting for you at the very end of this investigation. Retail giants like LOBLAWS and Costco have long positioned themselves as the ultimate guardians of quality and value for the modern family household. However, behind the polished aisles of these massive warehouses lies a supply chain that has been systematically compromised by corporate greed and clinical indifference. They have allowed the very foundation of the dairy industry to be hollowed out while continuing to collect record-breaking profits from unsuspecting shoppers. While the retail price of butter has surged by 15 to 20% over the last 12 months, the actual quality of the product has plummeted. To offset rising production costs, these corporations have authorized an increase of 5 to 8% in water content and chemical fillers within their own store brand labels. You are being forced to pay significantly more money for a product that contains less actual nutrition and more industrial waste. Investigative data now suggests that more than 30% of the dairy farms supplying these major chains are utilizing palm oil supplements to artificially inflate fat yields. This massive infiltration of cheap palm oil bypasses natural biological cycles to create a high-volume output that is essentially a metabolic time bomb. The sheer scale of this collusion between big retail and industrial farming is a deliberate strike against the integrity of your dinner table. The 8 brands we are about to expose represent the worst offenders in this nationwide crisis of food security and corporate malpractice. One of these household names hides a dark manufacturing secret so severe that it has triggered a quiet internal panic among health researchers. You must witness the specific evidence regarding our top-ranked offender at the conclusion of this report to understand the full extent of the danger. President's Choice is often marketed as the premium choice for families who frequent the aisles of LOBLAWS across the nation. The familiar yellow packaging has spent years building a reputation for superior quality and high-end culinary standards at an accessible price. Consumers have long believed that choosing this label meant they were providing their loved ones with a wholesome and pure dairy staple. However, this facade of quality was shattered when President's Choice became the central figure in the notorious Buttergate investigation. Analysts discovered that this specific butter fails to soften at room temperature, a clear sign of severe molecular interference. By allowing suppliers to use palm oil supplements, the brand has compromised the very essence of what makes butter a natural food. Every time you use this product, you are exposing your cardiovascular system to a high concentration of palmitic acid that does not belong in your diet. The corporation has chosen to ignore the long-term metabolic consequences of this synthetic fat in favor of maximizing production yields. This is not just a failure of quality control. It is a calculated decision to feed you a distorted version of reality for profit. President's Choice has traded its historical integrity for a chemically modified substitute that has no place in a healthy kitchen. They have proven that your health is secondary to their desire to dominate the retail market through deceptive manufacturing practices. But if you think the situation at LOBLAWS is bad, the next brand found at Costco presents an even more immediate threat to your physical well-being. Costco's blue-labeled Kirkland Signature Butter is a staple in millions of American homes because of its reputation for bulk value and consistency. Families trust the Kirkland name as a guarantee of quality that meets the highest standards of food safety and nutritional honesty. However, the contents of this blue box are far from the pure pastoral product that the marketing team wants you to believe. The salted version of this brand contains an alarming amount of sodium that frequently exceeds 100 milligrams per individual serving. This massive dose of salt is often used to mask the lack of genuine cream flavor and to extend the shelf life of a subpar dairy product. For individuals managing their blood pressure, consuming this butter is equivalent to napping a hidden cardiac time bomb every single morning. By saturating their butter with such high levels of sodium, the corporation is able to utilize lower quality dairy sources that would otherwise taste unappealing. They are prioritizing the longevity of their inventory over the cardiovascular health of their loyal members who pay for the privilege of shopping there. This excessive salt intake is a silent contributor to chronic inflammation and long-term metabolic dysfunction within your body. Costco has leveraged its massive scale to push a product that is designed for profit margins rather than human nutritional requirements. The blue box serves as a perfect example of how a trusted brand can slowly erode your health while you believe you are saving money. Land O'Lakes has spent decades positioning itself as the wholesome face of American agriculture with its iconic imagery and promise of farmer-owned quality. Many consumers reach for this brand because they believe it supports a more ethical and traditional way of producing dairy. However, the reality hidden behind their massive marketing budget is an industrial operation that has moved far away from its pastoral roots. This corporate behemoth has reportedly funneled millions of dollars into lobbying and legal efforts to obscure the true nature of their supply chain. They have fought to keep you from knowing that their cows are frequently raised on a strict diet of genetically modified organisms and industrial byproducts. By prioritizing these cheap feed sources, they have fundamentally altered the nutritional profile of the butter you feed to your children. The presence of these genetically modified inputs creates a cascading effect of inflammation and metabolic disruption within the human body. Land O'Lakes is no longer a simple cooperative of small-town farmers. It is a powerful entity that chooses corporate secrecy over consumer transparency. They are gambling with your long-term health to maintain their dominance in the dairy aisle while you pay the price for their hidden shortcuts. The betrayal of trust by such a legendary household name is a clear indicator that no brand is too big to be compromised by greed. As we move deeper into this investigation, the next name on our list will show you how some companies have stopped even trying to provide a real product. You will soon see how a specific low-cost brand is charging you premium prices for nothing more than chemical-laden water. The generic yellow packaging of the no-name brand is a familiar sight for budget-conscious shoppers at LOBLAWS who are looking to save money on basic essentials. While the minimalist design suggests a straightforward product without the added costs of branding, the reality is a significant compromise in nutritional integrity. This label represents the absolute lowest tier of purity within the entire dairy department of the grocery store. Laboratory analysis has revealed that no-name butter contains some of the highest levels of moisture and chemical moisture retainers found in the commercial market. Instead of paying for nutrient-dense butterfat, you are unknowingly purchasing a high percentage of water that has been chemically stabilized to prevent separation. This is a classic example of corporate shrinkflation where the manufacturer dilutes the product to protect their profit margins at your expense. The inclusion of these hidden moisture-retaining chemicals can cause unpredictable reactions when the product is used for cooking or consumed directly. By stripping away the natural fats and replacing them with fillers, the corporation is selling you a hollowed-out version of a traditional staple. You are essentially paying a premium price for a mixture of water and industrial additives that offers zero biological benefit to your body. Country Crock is perhaps the most deceptive product in the entire grocery store because it is successfully masqueraded as a dairy staple for generations. The brand utilizes pastoral imagery and a farm-grown narrative to convince families that they are making a heart-healthy choice for their children. Millions of people reach for the iconic brown tub, believing that the extreme spreadability is a sign of a superior and more modern version of traditional fat. However, a closer look at the chemical composition of this product reveals a terrifying truth that the marketing department has spent millions to hide. Country Crock is not actually butter at all, but rather a complex industrial emulsion of highly refined seed oils and chemical stabilizers. You are not spreading a wholesome dairy product on your food, but instead a processed cocktail of soybean and canola oils that have been engineered to mimic the texture of cream. These refined seed oils are notorious for their high concentrations of omega-6 fatty acids, which are known to drive systemic inflammation throughout the human body. When you consume this spread, you are flooding your cellular membranes with unstable fats that contribute to chronic metabolic stress and arterial damage. It is a masterpiece of food engineering that prioritizes long-term shelf stability and low production costs over the biological requirements of your internal organs. The brand "I Can't Believe It's Not Butter" represents a masterclass in psychological manipulation that uses a catchy name to distract from a toxic list of ingredients. It has managed to secure a dominant position on supermarket shelves by appealing to the consumer's desire for a calorie-reduced alternative to traditional dairy products. However, the reality hidden behind this clever branding is an industrial concoction that is entirely foreign to human biology and nutritional science. This product relies on a sophisticated array of artificial flavors and chemical emulsifiers to create a synthetic approximation of the taste and texture of real cream. These chemical additives are engineered to bypass your natural satiety signals and trick your brain into accepting a product that has no actual nutritional value. By consuming these laboratory-created molecules, you are participating in a massive, uncontrolled experiment on your own internal chemistry and metabolic pathways. Recent scientific research has suggested that the specific emulsifiers used in this spread can severely disrupt the delicate balance of your gut microbiome and damage the intestinal lining. This disruption can lead to a host of chronic health issues, ranging from metabolic syndrome to systemic autoimmune responses that are difficult to diagnose and treat. The corporation continues to market this product as a healthy choice, while completely ignoring the mounting evidence of its long-term harm to the human digestive system. Great Value is the dominant house brand of Walmart, appearing in the refrigerators of millions of families who are struggling to navigate an era of unprecedented food inflation. The simple blue and white labels promise a level of affordability that makes a nutritious diet seem attainable for the average working-class household. However, this illusion of value is built upon a foundation of extreme supply chain opacity that should deeply concern every single consumer. The corporation relies on a massive network of nameless third-party suppliers who are constantly pressured to produce high volumes at the lowest possible price point. This high-pressure environment often leads to a dangerous compromise in basic sanitation protocols and has resulted in a recurring history of bacterial contamination and product recalls. You are essentially bringing a product into your home that has been processed through a system where speed is valued far more than microbiological safety. When you serve this butter to your family, you are unknowingly risking exposure to pathogens that can cause severe gastrointestinal distress and long-term health complications. Walmart has consistently failed to provide complete transparency regarding the specific industrial farms and processing facilities that contribute to the Great Value dairy line. This lack of accountability means that by the time a contamination issue is identified, the compromised product has already been consumed by your children. Breakstones was once a name that commanded respect and stood as a pillar of traditional American dairy craftsmanship for over 140 years. For generations, the silver foil packaging was a symbol of reliability that graced the tables of those who demanded nothing less than culinary excellence. However, after being acquired by a massive global food conglomerate, the soul of this historic brand has been systematically dismantled in favor of industrial efficiency. The legacy of quality that your grandparents trusted has been replaced by a soulless manufacturing protocol designed for the modern age of corporate dominance. The production methods that once relied on slow and careful churning have been replaced by high-velocity manufacturing processes that prioritize volume over molecular integrity. This shift has resulted in a product that often exhibits the same disturbing physical characteristics as the most inferior store brands currently on the market. You are no longer purchasing the legacy of a master dairy craftsman, but rather a shadow of a product that has been optimized for the global balance sheets of its corporate owners. The once celebrated creaminess has been sacrificed for a rigid and unnatural consistency that refuses to behave like real butter under normal conditions. Internal reports and consumer feedback have highlighted a dramatic decline in texture and taste that suggests a heavy reliance on the same palmitic acid supplements we discussed earlier. This high climax betrayal is particularly painful because it exploits the nostalgic trust that families have built with this brand over more than a century. By feeding your family this corrupted version of a classic staple, you are participating in the final stage of a corporate takeover that values profit margins far more than your metabolic health. They have effectively turned a symbol of American tradition into a metabolic time bomb disguised in familiar silver foil. After witnessing the systematic betrayal of the dairy industry, you may feel that a safe choice is impossible to find in a modern grocery store. However, a select group of producers has successfully resisted the pressure of industrial shortcuts to maintain the biological integrity of their butter. These brands represent the true gold standard of nutrition, and provide the metabolic relief your cardiovascular system desperately requires. They prove that it is still possible to produce a pure product without compromising on human safety or traditional values. Kerrygold Irish Grass-Fed stands as a global beacon of quality by adhering to strict traditional grazing practices on the island of Ireland. Their cows spend their lives on lush green pastures, resulting in a fat profile that is naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins. This butter softens exactly as nature intended at room temperature because it is entirely free from the corrupting influence of palmitic acid supplements. It is the perfect example of how a large-scale brand can still prioritize the biological health of its consumers. While the blue box from Costco failed our investigation, the Kirkland Signature Grass-Fed Silver Box is a rare and remarkable exception for savvy shoppers. This specific product is sourced from cattle that are fed 100% grass, ensuring a clean and nutrient-dense lipid profile that supports heart health. It is a powerful reminder that high-volume retail can still provide genuine health benefits when transparency and quality are placed above corporate greed. This silver-labeled option remains one of the few reliable choices for families who need to balance budget with biological safety. Vital Farms pasture-raised butter offers a level of absolute transparency that is virtually non-existent in the rest of the modern food machine. Their commitment to rigorous pasture-raised standards ensures that every batch of butter melts at a natural temperature, proving its molecular purity to the world. You can taste the profound difference of a product that has been crafted with genuine respect for both the animal and the final consumer. Choosing this brand is a direct investment in a food system that refuses to hide behind industrial secrets or chemical additives. Organic Valley provides the ultimate security through its strict adherence to the United States Department of Agriculture organic certification. This rigorous standard effectively eliminates the possibility of hidden palm oil residues or synthetic growth hormones entering your internal bloodstream. By choosing this label, you are casting a decisive vote for a food system that values long-term human health over quarterly corporate earnings and industrial efficiency. It is the final and most secure line of defense for those who refuse to allow their kitchens to be compromised by metabolic time bombs. The battle for your metabolic health begins the moment you step inside the brightly lit aisles of your local supermarket. We have exposed how giant retailers like LOBLAWS and Costco have allowed industrial chemistry to replace the natural purity of a kitchen staple. By understanding the science behind the Buttergate scandal, you now possess the knowledge to protect your family from these hidden molecular threats. You can no longer look at a simple block of butter without questioning the massive corporate machine that produced it. Please take a moment to examine the contents of your refrigerator and verify the melting point of the brands you have currently purchased. If you find one of the 8 blacklisted brands in your home, consider the long-term cost of continuing to consume these metabolic time bombs. Sharing this investigation with your friends and family is a vital step in forcing these massive corporations to return to honest manufacturing practices. Your health and the integrity of the entire food supply depend on the collective vigilance of informed consumers like you. We will continue to investigate the hidden dangers lurking within every department of the modern grocery store to keep you safe from corporate deception. If you found this documentary insightful, ensure you are subscribed and have activated all notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the food industry. Your comments and experiences with these brands are essential for building a community that demands transparency and real nourishment. Thanks for watching.